The 6.7 beta is officially done. The final build dropped, and after weeks of changes, balance swings, and community panic, we finally have a clear picture of what Sandrone actually is, how the new reaction works on release, and whether she lives up to the hype. So in this video I'm giving you the full beta conclusion, what changed, where she landed, and what this means for the meta going into Snezhnaya. Let's get into it. Quick reminder before we start, there are confirmed beta facts here and there are leaks, and beta numbers are never final until the patch goes live. I will be straight with you about which is which, because that honesty is the whole point of this channel. Sandrone is a 5-star Cryo Claymore character, an on-field main DPS, and she is the very first playable face of Snezhnaya Fatui Harbinger number 7, the marionette. She is built entirely around the new stellar Superconduct reaction, and she is currently the only character who can enable it. That last part matters a lot, so hold on to it. Her gameplay loop is genuinely unique. It centers on her automaton companion, Fagio. Her charged attack sends Fagio into a calculation mode, where it fires a continuous cryo laser beam varying UV light in field and at intervals. That beam also deals stellar superconduct damage. While that laser runs, a gauge fills up. Once it maxes out, she shifts into an overclock or overload state for a burst of damage, and then her elemental skill resets the cycle so you can keep going. Her burst calls down prismatic resonance cannons for a big chunk of our cryo, so the rhythm is laser, build the gauge, overload, reset with skill, repeat. It rewards players who manage that loop cleanly. Now, the reaction itself, because this is the real star of the patch. Stellar Superconduct is Snezhnaya's regional mechanic, and it is essentially an upgraded version of the old, famously weak Superconduct. Here is how the final beta version works. When you trigger it with Cryo Electro, it creates a special field. Inside that field, only characters who can output stellar superconduct damage actually deal it, while your other Cryo Electro units standing in the zone get a 38% elemental damage bonus to their element. So it is part damage type, part team buff zone. Through beta, the stacking system got tuned hard. Early on, it gave a stack per single cryo or electro hit, which was way too strong. The final tuning is more balanced. The field tracks your elemental hits. The system holds more stacks than the old reaction did, and crucially, the buff window now lasts longer with a refresh, so keeping the field alive is much easier than in the first beta build. The detonation cycle sits at roughly once every 6 seconds, and faster cryo and electro application speeds that up. To be honest, catch-and this is straight from beta testing is that at 6.7 launch, you cannot realistically hit the maximum stacks even with the best enablers available right now. You are looking at filling most of the bar but not all of it. That ceiling is not a Sandrone problem, it is a missing teammate problem, and I will come back to that. And it is worth pausing on why this matters, because old Superconduct was one of the saddest reactions in the entire game. For years, did one thing, shred a bit of physical resistance, and then it just sat there doing basically nothing for elemental teams. Whole categories of Cryo and Electro units were stuck because their best on-paper synergy paid out almost nothing. So turning Superconduct from a forgotten footnote into an actual damage and buff engine is a genuinely big deal. It is however going back and giving an entire neglected element pairing a reason to exist. That is the part the beta confirmed loud and clear, and it is why this patch feels bigger than just one new character. So how does she actually perform? This is where the beta story got happy. Her early tuning was cautious and honestly a little underwhelming, and the community was not quiet about it. But the V2 and later revisions buffed her noticeably across her burst, her charged attack scaling, and her constellations. Her signature Claymore is heavily tied to stellar superconduct damage, which makes it more than a plain stat stick. By the final build, she lands as a serious cryo DPS with a specialized identity, not the half-baked unit some fear after the first leaks. Just remember, every specific multiplier is still leak territory until live. Let's talk teams, because this is the most practical part. Sandrone needs constant electro application to function, full stop. Without an electro partner, her core mechanic basically shuts off. Right now, your best in-game option is Maiko, who got buffed in 6.7 specifically for this. She gives reliable off-field electro through her towers, deals real damage of her own, and her buffs feed the team stellar superconduct damage and elemental mastery. After her, you are looking at Raiden as an off-field battery, or Beidou for the budget route. Several older Cryo and Electro units are also getting buffed in 6.7 to plug into this reaction, names like Ryethesli, Maiko, Sinnoh, Chevreuse, Diona, and Beidou. These are good adaptations, but here is the key insight from the whole beta cycle, and it is the thing I most want you to take away. These buffed legacy characters are adapted to the reaction. They were not built for it. Sandrone is the gateway that opens the system the same way Anfa opened lunar reactions right before Nod Cry launched. The characters who will actually define this meta arrive in Snezhnaya itself. The big one is the leaked Electro unit, Vodansa, widely expected in 7.0, who is described as the dedicated off-field partner that finally completes Sandrone's core and lets you push those stacks higher. And then further out, the Cryo Archon, the Zaristo, dropping into a cryocentric reaction meta. To be clear, her kit has not leaked from any credible source, so anything specific about her is speculation. But pattern-wise, a Cryo Archon in a cryo reaction region is very unlikely to be a side character. I think she defines this system the way Nahida defined Hyper Bloom. That is my reasoning, not a leak. So the honest meta verdict is this. Sandrone is the new meta starter. She is strong, she is unique, and she is mandatory for the reaction at launch. But she is the beginning of the stellar superconduct story, not the ceiling of it. If you love her design and her playstyle, pull with confidence she delivers. If you are a pure meta chaser watching every Primo Gem, understand that her best teammates are not in the game yet, and your damage will climb significantly once the dedicated Snezhnaya enablers arrive. Neither answer is wrong, it just depends on what kind of player you are. One more thing worth flagging. Do not over-invest in placeholder Electro units expecting them to be permanent. Once Vodansa lands, a lot of those stopgap setups get replaced, so spend your resources accordingly. That is the full 6.7 beta conclusion on Sandrone and the new reaction. Quick recap. She is a Cryo Claymore on-field DPS, the sole enabler of stellar superconduct. She got buffed into a genuinely strong unit by the final build. The reaction is a real upgrade over old superconduct, but the meta does not fully blue until Snezhnaya brings her true partners. Confirmed parts, her existence and the reaction system. Leak parts, every number and every future teammate. If this breakdown helped you decide whether to pull, leave a like, it genuinely helps the channel. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because the moment the 6.7 stream drops and we get official kits and codes, I will have it covered immediately. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next